Aloha. You're watching F5 On Demand. We're in Vegas for Interop 2014. Now, earlier this week, we talked a little bit about how F5 is playing an important role within the Interop.net NOC. And so I grabbed Ken and Joe again to do a little follow-up and kind of find out maybe some statistics, if there are any kind of cool things that happened along the way. You know, we talked about what we're gonna do, and now this is the what we did segment of the video. So first, one of the things we were talking about, Joe, was the Speedy setup. And I was kind of curious, we were talking on the way over, what sort of performance gains by setting up the Speedy virtual did we see on the Interop.net site?
Yeah, we actually saw some pretty decent gains. So something on the order of 20% better page load times for the users hitting interop.com through Speedy. That's a little lower than Google's numbers. Google, if you go to the Chromium webpage for Speedy, has the top 25 sites that they hit, and they have stats for that. Their numbers were more on the order of 50 or 60%, which I would love to get, but interop.com is really a site that is a combination of partner content on the actual interop.com web servers, and stuff hosted by all the partners. So interop.com would be a much better Speedy use case if more of the stuff was located on one site rather than all the different partners.
From various feeds.
Yeah.
Did you get some sense of were they mostly mobile devices that were connecting and hitting that virtual, or other sorts of devices?
There was a fair amount of mobile traffic. We did most of our Speedy on IPv4 rather than IPv6.
Okay.
So we run both, obviously, on the network, and we saw most of the stuff on IPv4. We saw something on the order of 20,000 out of 160 or so total interop.com through us this week, and so around an eighth or so, or like something in that order.
And I know we've done that dual IPv, V4 to V6 over the years, the last couple of years. Have you seen like the V6 traffic increase?
So actually this year we saw a decrease in IPv6 traffic. That's probably a composite of how people have changed their configuration settings on their Windows machines to disable that or enable it. There's also different versions that prefer V6 versus V4, and some of the versioning over time. We did see a little bit of a decrease of V6 this year, at least from our perspective. Right. And some other stats we saw on the DNS side, the DNS recursion that we did for the show, DNS caching, we saw about 15 million DNS lookups over the last 4 days. About half of those, or more than half of those, were cached on our platform instead of having to do that recursion again.
Nice.
Overall, we saw roughly about gigabit speeds on our NOC services infrastructure through our NOC firewall. We saw a couple different floods and attacks during the show. Those were mitigated quite easily based on our flood algorithms. And
could you tell if those attacks were from the outside or people mulling around here?
So the address space that we use here at the show is fairly well known. It's an old block that's been around for a long time. So as soon as the show network comes online and starts advertising via BGP, we end up getting flooded by China and all these other different parts of the world. SSH floods, we saw a lot of those this year.
Oh, wow.
And we're able to block those for our vendors that were behind us.
Pretty cool. Now, we're purposely standing in front of a couple of monitors here because I think you wanted to talk a little bit about the graph stuff that's going on, right, Ken?
Yeah, so just to show you a little bit about more of just F5 at the show, we have some interesting statistics that some of our vendors, we have, Indilex has an Indance platform. This is a good...
We come a little bit this way, so Greg can get a better...
Sure. So this is essentially a good backbone chart. So we see riding about a gig of traffic through the network right now, and this does a good job of actually looking at bursts up in the 2 to 3 gigabit range. You can also see a quick breakdown.
It's real time too.
Yes, this is updating from the network real time. At the bottom, you can kind of see a good breakdown of actually where our traffic flows are. We've over the last 15 minutes seen about 6 gigs of sys movement, syslog, HTTP. You can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. So this is some good traffic breakdowns of what actually rides on the backbone. We go over here, we have essentially our ingenious NetScout platform. you can see kind of an idea of our breakdown of types of application traffic over time. We see a decent amount of web-based traffic, as you would expect. We're also seeing a lot of file host movement. A lot of people have Dropbox at the show, and that's able to get some really fast speeds up to the AWS S3 infrastructure from our Sunnyvale location. So it just gives you a good idea of what we're doing on our backbone.
That whole bunch of video from like 10 a.m. till about almost 11:30.
Yeah,
and then it drops off.
Yeah, it seems like people are watching YouTubes, or I know the keynote speech was going on. That's all streamed. HP was doing a pretty large stream from their booth earlier this morning. So nGenius does a decent job of breaking that out for us as network engineers and administrators of the NOC to understand what's actually on the network.
Cool. You know, one of the things I was curious about from either one of you was, you're both within our professional services organization, you've worked on our boxes for many years, understand them very well, and I didn't prep you on this question, so surprise. But was there anything that came along that you were surprised by, or not necessarily caught you off guard, but where you were like, oh, I didn't realize, or anything like that?
In regards to our technology, I think it did catch me off guard with that question. So,
was there anything surprising along the way? Maybe is a better way to put it. Not really.
Not really.
That's okay.
We've been working with our product for some time. I think what was actually really good this year is we spent a lot of times with our ITMs and other volunteers here, and we actually went through our product more comprehensively with them and gave them a good sense of what our product's been able to do for the NOC, as well as for what they can bring home to their enterprises at the end of the day.
And we're certainly, we like to work with a number of other vendors. Are they just as impressed with our technology as we are?
Yeah, we have obviously HP's in the NOC as well. We've done a lot of work with them with the SDN platform that they have to integrate with them, also with our friends at Science Logic, to really kind of expand on what visibility they're able to provide their customers using our APIs, our new REST interface. I think you might see a couple screenshots of what that looks like, visual breakout of what the virtual servers and pools are configured to do. So we've been working, one of the benefits of Interop is working with those vendors to actually assist them with understanding our platforms and really interfacing them with our engineers and with us to enrich their platforms themselves.
So one of the things I know you guys spend a lot of time pre-show, that the secret location and a bunch of weeks in advance. Like, what happens now? What happens? The show closes, and then what do you guys do next? Like, what's the stage for here?
Well, so today's the last day on the show floor, and at 3 o'clock we got to. It's Vegas. There's always more conventions, so we got to start tearing stuff down. We're going to be collapsing a lot of the pads down, shutting down certain parts of the network, pulling them in. We still have classes tomorrow, so we got to keep the core up. F5 stuff will stay up, but a lot of the NOC services stuff will start to come down. This whole beautiful NOC behind us will be torn down by the end of the evening.
Wow. And just go dark, eh? Till the next time.
Till the next time. So Interop goes on, and we'll come up with some new and interesting technology to exhibit here.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate your time, Ken. It's always good to see you. You know that.
Pleasure.
And Joe, first time on. Yeah. Great job this time.
Thank you.
All right. So, Ken, Joe, I got Greg again. Thank you, Greg. I'm Peter, and we're with F5 Networks. Thanks for watching.